Hey, welcome to Mike's Mail, episode 10. We're going to do a 3-to-1 rock raise this time, and I'm adding the knots in. So if you know all the knots, then skip ahead 4 minutes, and that's kind of where we do the raise. And it's pretty basic, just load transfer stuff. But somebody was asking about a hoisted, or getting some mechanical advantage and creating a hoist if somebody... The construction of a clove hitch. Take one loop, goes on one side of the rope. Another loop goes on the other side of the rope. I pass these two loops behind each other, clip it in to my anchor point, pull the ropes tight, make sure that I recognize it. It is possible to get this wrong and do a munter hitch instead. It starts very similar as to the clove hitch, where we take one loop and we take another loop when tails are opposed, and if we went behind each other, again we would have the clove hitch. However, we just fold it over upon itself, and you have something that looks like this. We take the two strands, clip it in to the carabiner, lock it. And this is an extremely common belay knot. And you can tell when you get it right. It has that telltale munter flip. Right, and the garter hitch is what some people call an Alpine clutch, right? So what it is just basically I'll take two carabiners, bang, bang, take a rope, determine which one is the load rope. So if this is my load right here, then I take the non-load rope, I wrap it around and just re-clip the load carabiner. Okay, so I'm going to go into a rock raise. I was having the greatest day of my life, and then a few minutes ago, my buddy suddenly became a dead weight, and he needs a hand up. So I'm going to go into a rock raise as quick as I can because I got a storm coming in from behind me. So I can't do anything till I escape the system, and in this case it's pretty easy because I'm belaying directly off the anchor with a munter hitch. So I just tie off the munter hitch like so. Look up some of the other videos on how to do that. I'm not going to go into the whole case here right now. And overhand around the load rope, bang. And I don't need anything more for that. Now I decided it's going to be a 3-to-1 straightforward rock raise that I'm going to use. So I grab my prusik, bang, bang, bang. I bundle them like this. I don't have to throw them down. I go 1, 2, 3 wraps for a rescue scenario. Bite really good, and then I put an overhand knot just behind the prusik as close as I can get it so that it's right here. And so I can just slip a carabiner in there. That would be the best. That would be ideal. All right. Now I have to replace this part where I've tied them off. I want to put in a ratchet of some sort. So that's a simple enough thing to do. I will just take a beaner, transfer to the shelf here, and I'm going to use another munter hitch, and I'm going to tie that puppy off. And I know munter hitches are You guys are always going like, why so many months? Well, it's just the way it is, buddy. It's the way we do her here in the Rockies. Okay. So, and also because we don't want it, I'm going to have to take this off at some point. I don't want to have somebody just hanging on a prusik. It's just not good form. It's not a good habit to get into. We always like to keep them full strength on the rope if at all possible. And I'm going to put it in a clove hitch here. This gives me the option of taking in or removing rope after I've released this. So I think I'm ready to go here. I'm going to just gently release this here, release this here, release this, and there we go. Let's gently go onto the prusik. The prusik is in there. Okay. Now I'm going to take this munter where this munter hitch was, and I'm going to put my ratchet. And with my ratchet, I use the two like-minded, like-shaped carabiners. Okay. Like so. Take this out. This out. Where's my load rope? That's my load rope. Go through both. Reclip the load rope. Bang. And now because I'm in a hurry, I'm just going to use my personal prusik. Go 1, 2, 3 strands. Because I have a personal prusik. Locking carabiner not required because there's nothing. If it fails, it's no big deal. And there we go. Okay. And I'm going to leave this prusik on. This other one is a backup prusik, okay? So, now I have it, a straightforward rock race where we have 1, 2, 3 lines. And I know in a lot of parts of the world, this isn't more than just a rock raise, it's also your crevasse rescue system. Where in Canada, we would tie them off, drop a loop, bring them up, and get that extra significant amount of mechanical advantage. Okay? And because it is a person and it ain't easy, you got to really be thinking, do I want to bring this person up here? So that's about it for the rock race. Now if the case comes and I have to release this because I want to change this back into a lower like I do now, I will put this clove hitch back in here, right there. I'll take this knot here, this hitch, bang, change this over to a block and tackle. In here, I don't need much. All I have to do is be able to release this. So this block and tackle will go through here, which will go through here. And I want to get it so they run nice and smooth against each other, so I have all the mechanical advantage that I need. And these actually work great, right? As long as they're not binding over top of each other, as this is. There we go. And and that's all I need. So now I can change this out. All right. And I gotta get into a lower because I gotta get this going. Got some serious problems happening. Okay, I'm just going to hold this, wrap it around my hand so I don't lose it. Bust my block and tackle because all the weight's on that right now. There we go. Now I'm taking the weight center that I'm holding with my hand. And inside I'm just going to tie this off because I want to retrieve that prusik. So. And you always want to retrieve this stuff, folks, because you just do not know what you're going to be needing next. And remember, rescue systems are highly gear intensive. Highly gear intensive. All right. So now I go back into my lower and I lower Buddy to the ground. And that's it. Thanks, my partner. Hi there. Okay, so you got the rescue thing down. How about if you lived in the city but you still want to get in tune with the mountains, you know, and kind of follow the mountain cycle? The best way to do that is subscribe to the ACMG's MCR, Mountain Conditions Report. Now, if you follow that through the year, you can actually follow, you know, what the concerns are and whether it's snow in the wintertime or, you know, early season rockfall or whatever, the mid-season glaciers, you know, bridges starting to sag, that sort of thing. But if you subscribe to it for a year and follow us along, I think you'll get a lot out of it. So a little bit of the history of the Mountain Conditions Report with Tom Wolf. He's a mountain guide in Canmore. Excelente, gracias, senor. It's Mike Barter here, and I'm at the Banff Media Studio, and I'm talking right now to Mr. Tom Wolf, who is one of the maintenance people with the MCR. And for those of you who are coming to Canada or are going to do some climbing, maybe the MCR might be something that you really want to look at. So just check right here for the website address. There you go, the MCR. And Tom, could you explain to people what the MCR actually is?
Well, we should back it up a little bit. First of all, let's bring us back to about the year 1998. This is back in the kind of the early dawn of the internet, or at least the early dawn of the internet as far as guides were concerned. Email just started to become a pretty popular thing, and there were a few guides in the Bow Valley that started exchanging information about conditions because a lot of them, only get out once or twice a month, and so when it comes time for them to go guide, they're not really sure what the mountains are doing. So they kind of, they cheated a little bit, really. They would ask each other for information, and people would email, oh yeah, I was out on such and such on a Cascade waterfall, and for people that just had no clue what condition Cascade waterfall was like, they just had to check their email. So anyhow, that went on for a few years, and then finally in about the year 2000 and I guess it was probably 2004 actually, it became a little bit unwieldy. We had these carbon copied lists of 80 to 100, sometimes more, sometimes less guides. And there was a bit of a concern that not everybody was really in the loop. Sometimes some names would get dropped. People with Hotmail accounts could only send like 50 emails at a time. And it just became a little bit much to manage. So we switched to a mailing list, which worked really, really well. And suddenly, participation spiked and people were much more interested, much more involved. And a couple of years passed, and this would have been, I think, 2005, 2006. Suddenly, we started noticing that there were some recreational accidents that were happening. And these accidents were happening due to conditions, such as avalanche conditions or maybe rockfall issues, that if those people had been reading, if they'd been able to eavesdrop in on the guides' reports, they would have known that that was probably not the place, the time or the place to be in these different these different areas. And two in particular spring to mind. One was an incident on an avalanche incident on Athabasca that happened in July, and the other one was an avalanche slash Serac incident that happened on the north face of Mount Robson. And so we tossed around the idea of maybe opening the door a little bit and sharing this information that we had with the public. And surprisingly enough, there was not a whole lot of resistance to the idea amongst the guides. There was a little bit of concern for maybe liability, if a guide posted something and the public misinterpreted it, or maybe it was incorrect information or whatever and got into trouble, maybe there'd be a liability issue. But eventually we thought, better we share this stuff than keep it to ourselves. And so that's been happening for the last few years, and it's been a pretty good hit. We've got over 1,200 subscribers now, and about 400 of those are guides who are pretty active. Depends, different times of the year there's different postings. Like I don't think I've seen one in the last, more than one in the last 2 weeks. And other times, like, especially the shoulder seasons, kind of May, June, July, and then throughout the high season and into September, there's a lot of interest. And then it picks up again, when the guides get back from their holidays in California and start strapping on the skis again, we get more interest in December.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's excellent. Excellent. And where can people, from what I understand, you can subscribe to this for absolutely no price whatsoever. And whenever the guides post their emails, it's going to come right to your email box. And it's just trouble free. And then you can unsubscribe if you find it's overwhelming.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. You can, there's really two ways to gain the information. One is, first of all, you got to go to acmg.ca, follow the links, or you can go acmg.ca/MCR, and you can either sign up. It's very easy. Just type in your email address and your name and a password, and you have to confirm that in your email, make sure that it is going to the right spot, and then you start getting them to your inbox, like Joe said. You'll have to edit that.
Yeah, no problem.
And the other way to do it is just go to acmg.ca/MCR, and you can look through all of our archives right from the very first one back in 2004.
So, out of curiosity, how many subscribers do you think you have now?
About 1,200.
About 1,200. And what kind of feedback are you getting from the general public?
Oh, they think it's great. It it gives them a good sense of what the professionals who are out there all the time are doing, which is pretty good beta. If you're not really sure what to do, you may not decide to do exactly what the guides have been doing, but it would give you kind of a ballpark estimate of what they're interested in doing, and they're out there pretty regularly. It also gives you a pretty good kind of up-to-the-minute idea about what conditions are, and throughout the high season of the summertime, we have weekly reports that go out Thursday night or Friday morning, and those give the weekend warriors a pretty good sense of what conditions are like. And so the public's been very, very happy about it. They've been I think a lot of people I've talked to have been using it as one of the key components of their trip planning, weekly routine as they decide what to do.
Well, I could understand that from the decision-making thing. And as far as do you know of any other professional guides associations that are doing this right now?
Well, I'm not aware of it. However, I think that guides associations are fairly loosely coordinated when it comes to that kind of thing, and there's not a whole lot of exchange that goes on between them, at least as far as I'm aware. So things could be happening, but I'm just unaware of them.
Well, I hope, once again, as in the heli ski industry, the Canadian guides tend to be real trendsetters, and I hope the American Association and those members out there who are in other international associations can see this can easily be put together. They're IT people. Would they be okay to contact you if they want to do a little information about sort of what kind of HTML programs you're using?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward stuff. It's pretty low technology when it comes to the internet, but they're welcome to contact me. And another thing that should be said is that there are some other local recreational conditions reports that have been started up by recreationalists, such as grabsports.com and livethevision.com. Yeah, those are two that you can check out.
Okay, well, there you go, folks. That's just one more excellent source, and I can say that for me personally, I use the MCR all the time, and I read it religiously. And
it's just too bad, Mike, that you're not out there anymore, though.
Yeah,
we miss you.
That's just not my thing, man. I think my day is done, and like a dog knows when to lick his wounds and just cut her back, and I'm just here to help out, and I'm putting Avon through boarding school right now.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't be able to make $250,000 guiding, so I think you've got a pretty good thing going with this YouTube thing. It's good.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So, okay, that was Tom Wolf, and thank you very much, folks. We'll see you next time. That's all the time we have for Mike's Mail, episode 10. We'll see you next week. And remember, my life is better than your vacation.